This
Things here.
conference will now be recorded.
And so we're going to get started. So welcome to Power Monday Masterminds. And today is an awesome day. So today what I really want to go over is, getting money, y'all. Because, you know, one of the things that we need to do, absolutely need to do, is get money, because what I believe is going to occur in a very short period of time. For me, a short period of time is 6 months to a year. I believe that things are going to change economically. So things are going to change globally, economically. I'm sorry, I should say that our global economic picture is going to change. And so the fastest way to be able to acquire capital to start preparing for what I believe, and I don't want to sound like a doomsday kind of guy, but every 10, 15 years, we have an economic shift, and I think it's imperative to be prepared during the economic shift. And I have been in economic times where you could see it coming, but foolishly, I was too busy spending money on BS, right? So as opposed to preparing, for what you could literally see coming, I would spend money, time, effort, energy on just stupid stuff, really. So sometimes when you're making money, you don't really think about what you should be doing with that money. In other words, I was just a bad steward of my money, to be perfectly frank. And so, with that said, I just don't want to ever do that again, right? I want to become a better steward of my money, and I want you all to become better stewards of your money, because as the old saying goes, is literally not what you. I'm sorry. Somebody said something. I didn't hear what you said. Okay, well, so I don't want you all to be a bad steward of your money, because I've literally made over my lifetime millions of dollars from my various businesses. My best business was probably when I was in medical supplies as a government contractor, providing what's referred to as durable medical equipment. And then I left that trying to be a broader supplier to the federal government, which didn't really pan out so well. And then I had a business prior to that, which was my longest term business, which I had for a lot of years, and I was doing really what I considered to be good in it. And it was way back in the day, pager and cellular store back in the day. And then I went from that to doing the government contracting thing. So multiple times I've been able to see where stuff is changing, right? Where the script is going to be flipped, and just not a good look, because I was too busy doing stupid stuff. And so one of the things that I had to learn during that period of time was how to clean up my credit. And one of the things that, because I would ultimately, as an entrepreneur, I would end up having to repair my credit over and over. And so the most powerful thing I learned is, and I want you guys to understand this, is that you, like me, can repair your credit 4 separate times. It's not a big deal. Credit is just a game. Every aspect of credit is just a game. When I create, in the past and right now, when I'm creating money, I'm doing it, primarily through leveraging other people's money, period. And that's super important to understand. One of the things that you just, in my opinion, need to do is start learning to leverage other people's money. So many of us are out here and we're screwed up because we don't have any money, right? We're business people. We're trying to make stuff happen. I can't tell you how many people call me up and say, "Oh yeah, well, I'm going to do this or that or whatever it is." You know, I'm in the real estate game, and we're trying to make stuff happen. Me and my partner are buying property, all this stuff, right? And the thing that I find is that, you know, they're calling because, they have a good thing going, but they don't have any funding. They don't have any capital. People are draining other people instead of doing it a smarter way, which is, OPM, other people's money all day. And so I was talking to a guy in this a couple of weeks back, and one of the things that he was telling me about is that he used to do whatever it is, some kind of financial funding or something, or not financial funding, but financial. Anyways, he was I can't even think of the term, but I can tell you what he did. So what he would do is help people manage their money. So financial managers, there you go. And the thing was, to me, I'm listening to him. I'm listening to all this, high powered bullshit about, how he was a financial manager and how he this, how he that, and realistically, but I'm hearing, okay, you were a financial manager, but now you're broke as hell, and you're, telling me that you have a situation where you and your partner are needing more money to do the properties or work on the properties that you guys have, as far as trying to rehab these properties they're buying in Texas. And so I was thinking, that's all of our problem to some degree, right? Is that we don't have enough money to make our businesses work properly. So the thing is that how do we get that money? And so what I have found over time is that, even back in the day when I was able to go out and just get straight corporate credit, ultimately, even though I was able to get straight, there used to be a bank, and we were killing it with this bank. It was called KeyBank. And KeyBank, unbeknownst to a lot of people, KeyBank offered secured cards, and that's probably what they're known for. But KeyBank also offered corporate cards. And so you could just create a Dun & Bradstreet credit file back in the day, and literally within 2 months or so, I could go out, I'd give it 3 months, I could go out and get a $5,000 or more KeyBank MasterCard. And I mean, it was just based purely on nothing but me structuring a corporation real quick with a Dun & Bradstreet file. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And the KeyBank would just, give up big money. And so one of the things that those days are long gone. And even back then, though, when I was able to do that type of stuff and also get, oh my God, I can't tell you how much credit from places like Home Depot. We were just killing it with Home Depot. And an old buddy of mine that was kind of, learning at the same time I was learning back in the day, I mean, he was raising, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, because he would go out and he would, buy, like 20, 30 grand worth of computers from Dell Computer and then sell them off on the street, so to speak. So back then it was just so much easier. But one of the things that I'm going to tell you guys is, even back then, it took so much more personal credit. Even back then, when I could get a ton of corporate credit, your personal credit still had to have a certain look, right? If you wanted to go after more cash cards. So KeyBank would give you cash cards, but there was a handful of others. But as a rule of thumb, even back then, you had to have your personal credit right. And because I was not the best steward of my money, number one, and not the best steward of my credit always. I was constantly having to repair my credit and fix it up. And so I told you guys all that preamble so I can get to the real point of this thing. There have always been places that will give you credit no matter how bad your credit is. And what I would find is just by simply adding these places, like, so nowadays we rely upon My Jewelers Club a lot, right? Because My Jewelers Club, what we find is that our clients get a quick jump, and quick to me is anywhere between 45 and 90 days, right? So that's a quick jump to me. And you can get 40 to 60 points by adding My Jewelers Club. As soon as that first payment hits and you make it in a timely fashion, and then once they report it, it's a really good look. It's a real good look. And there's a slew of places that are just like that. So those of you who have been on the call in the past know that I sent out an ebook to everybody as a freebie with a whole slew of places that they can get, credit grantors like My Jewelers Club. But, My Jewelers Club, Ox Funding, the list goes on and on and on. And the thing is that utilizing these type of places will help you prep your credit file. Now, there's a new thing on the block, and I suggest that everybody does this. So the new thing that I'm really feeling right now is Experian. If you sign up with Experian, you can be part of their new program. So Experian, credit monitoring service, they have a new program, which is, crazy awesome. What they do is, and they just launched it the other day. I signed up for it, a couple of months ago, but it was actually launched the other day. And so basically this program is going to take all of your credit cards, all of your bill payments. That's what I meant to say. All of your bill payments. So if you're making a payment every month to, whatever your cell phone carrier is, whatever your utility carrier is, whatever your, whatever, Experian is now going to give you credit for that. Experian is going to now, here's what happens. So you sign up with them, you sign up with this program, it's called Boost. And once you've done that, what ends up happening is you're going to link your account with them, whatever account you use to make your payments, you're going to link that account to Experian. And then every time you make a payment, Experian is going to give you show it as a payment being made. So if you're like here in California, we, at least in my area, we use Southern California Edison. And so my Southern California Edison payments will subsequently show up, and then Experian will give me the subsequent credit for that. So my gas bill, phone bill, all that good stuff, Experian will end up giving me credit for those things. And, can you imagine what that's going to do for your overall credit file? It's just going to be ridiculous, right? Because now you have the ability to take things that you're doing every month anyway and just, get credit for it. You literally have the opportunity right here, right now, to start getting credit for the things that you have to do regularly every month, month in, month out. Can you imagine what that's going to do for your credit score? It's powerful. So now, because if whether you know it or not, credit bureaus like to see minimum of 5 trade lines on your credit file, but preferably, they want to see 8, because Seven, I'm sorry. Because if you have less than that, you are looked upon as having what's referred to as a thin file. And so what I'm saying to you guys is this: start getting money right here, right now, whether you need it or not. And in order to do that, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start building your personal credit file. And if you have clients that you're doing this stuff for, you need to have them sign up with Experian Boost. You need to have them get into the mix like ASAP. It's worth the 20 some odd dollars a month. Have them sign up their bank account that they're making their bills out of every month anyway. And it's going to be a really good look, because this is the credit bureau Experian itself subsequently saying, no, we know that this is a good bill, right? And you're paying your cell phone every month anyway. You're paying your utilities every month anyway. So it only makes sense to me personally that you would be getting credit for that on your credit file, right? Because all these past years, you've just been making payments on stuff and for nothing. It hasn't been, benefiting you outside of the usage of that thing, the electricity, the phone, the gas, whatever. And so now you're going to be able to have Experian track that and subsequently, get a higher credit score. And with that higher credit score, I'm telling you, go out and start getting money. If you don't have a corporation, set one up, because you want to have the flexibility of applying for business lines of credit as well as personal credit. You want that flexibility. And once again, as I preach regularly, the magic of having a corporation allows you to build ghost credit, right? So I look at business lines of credit cards, everything except for Capital One, because Capital One does report to your personal, but everything else, as a rule of thumb, does not, right? It only reports to your Experian business and your Equifax business file, but not your personal Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So one of the things that you want to do, in my opinion, is set that corporation up if you don't have one, or an LLC, whichever one you prefer. My preference, even though I have both, is the corporation, because you have a greater tax position with the corporation, from what I understand from the person who does my taxes. But it's, we don't want to be in a position where I have been on several occasions where there's an economic downturn and I don't have any money. And so, get as much credit as you can, get as much capital as you can. And one of the things I'm going to say to you, and as I tell my clients, is that when you get this credit, do not leave the money sitting there. So hypothetically, if you were to get a loan, let's use a place like Marcus by Goldman Sachs, right? Because they're giving out money, high interest rate money, right? But they're giving out money. Also, SoFi, they're giving out money, higher interest rate money, but they're giving out money. So SoFi is running about, depending on your credit file, anywhere between 9 and 13%, and Marcus is running between, depending on your credit file, 15 to 17%, right? And so doesn't seem to be very difficult to get, a quick 20 grand from them. So here's the deal though. When some of these places give you money, they will give you money and deposit directly into your bank account. Do not leave that money in that same bank account. Go and put that money in another bank account, because if something goes wrong, according to their agreement, they have the right to snatch that money out of that account. Does that make sense to you guys? So you don't want to leave your money accessible to them or whomever, right? So as you're getting these loans, as you're getting credit, on from your business lines of credit cards. So let's say that you go out and you get an American Express Costco card, right? So that's on your business. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that American Express Costco card and you're going to pull 60% of that money off of there. And the reason it's not a bad look is because on your business credit, it doesn't report the same way. So on your personal credit, you do not want to have a credit card, whether it's a store card or Amex or Visa, MasterCard, Discover, whomever. You do not want to have any type of credit card on your personal credit file that's over that 30% threshold. So simply put, if it's $1,000 credit card, you never want to go over $300, right? Because that's the 30% threshold. And so, but on your business cards, and so you have this American Express Costco business card, and let's call it $1,000 card, but you take off $800 of it. No one gives a crap, because it's a business credit card, and they expect you out doing business. And so what I suggest to people, and what I try to do myself, is I pool money, put it somewhere else, and then have money that are making payments directly on these cards. So, if at all possible, let's say that on average you're on a, I don't know, let's call it a $10,000 credit card. Let's say your payments are going to be $50 a month, just for easy math. And you have, on $8,000 you owe, you know what? I'll even call it $100 a month. So your payments you're going to make are $100 a month, and you owe $8,000 on a $10,000 card. Well, it's not a bad thing, right? Because it's a business credit card, and no one cares the same way they do about your personal. And so what you would do is you would take out of that $8,000 that you pulled off of that card, you would take $600 of it and put it into an account so that for the next 6 months, payments on that card are not a concern. Does that make sense to you guys? You always want to make sure that you're not positioning yourself to screw yourself over ultimately. This is a long-term strategy, and if you really want to be about your business, if you pull $8,000 off of a card, what would it hurt you to put $1,200 away? Does that make sense? Because if you still have plenty of working capital at that point in time, but for the next year the payments for that particular card are made. Logical, right? Makes sense? Absolutely. So that's our objective here, is to start priming ourselves, to start preparing ourselves for anything that occurs economically. So if we do have I watch a lot of different shows that are global news, basically global economic forecasts and so on and so forth. And for the last couple of years, I've been saying that I foresee an economic shift, and I think we already had a couple of months ago where the stock market took a big shit, right? Just went down tremendously. Well, I think that's kind of a prelude, because there's always little things that occur that show the weakening of the economy. And we're not talking about just here in the U.S. We're talking about, things that are going on in England, things that are going on in the UK as overall, things that are going on in the Japanese marketplace, things that are going on in the South Korean marketplace. If all these people are having issues, all these different countries are having financial issue, right? One way or another, China's projected growth in China is directly behind the U.S. now, right? And as far as their yearly economic export and import and so on and so forth. So the U.S. is into I forgot the figures, but there's something like I don't know, I want to say 17 trillion or something like that a year. And then China, don't quote me on that, I'm just using figures, right? Because I looked at it the other day and I don't remember exactly what it is. So, and then China's probably like, 13 to 14 trillion, so it's not that much, it's not that far behind us. And then all the other countries are in the, 1 to 2, 4 or 5 trillion, far less. Now, if all of these big countries that have a yearly economic output of trillions of dollars are having problems, then we need to kind of start thinking in terms of, if something goes wrong, what can I do to protect myself? And so I myself am trying to accumulate as much capital, borrowed capital, as humanly possible, because I can do so much more borrowing $1 million than I could ever do trying to make or earn that $1 million. So as I've told you guys in the past, there's a book that I've read a long time ago, and I still have that book, and I come through it periodically. And the one of the second titles, if you will, or taglines on the book is that she says it's easier to borrow $10 million than it is to earn it. And that is a very true fact. I try to explain to people, look at, how much money a house costs. So here in California, an average home in where I live, the area I live, I think is about $650,000. So there are other areas I can go to, like closer to what's referred to as the Inland Empire, which is Corona, Riverside, or but if I go towards LA, it gets higher. So as soon as you get into LA County, even for a house, a crackerjack sized house, the value goes up. So my point is that, let's say, I'm earning $150,000, right? Gross. That's what I pay myself a year. If I'm earning $150,000, but I want to buy a house, I have to go out and borrow. In my specific area, Fountain Valley, I would have to go out and borrow $650,000, right, to get into the median or average house in this area. So that means that, so if I were trying to, obviously save $650,000, it would take me like 15 years, right? Because I got to live every, month in, month out, year in, year out. I got to live. I have expenses already that I'm paying. So for me to go out and borrow that $650,000 is so much easier. And so instead of trying to earn the money to pay that $650,000, you borrow the money for that $650,000 to purchase that home. It makes more sense, right? Obviously, you don't want to borrow beyond your debt. Beyond what you can afford to pay. But think about this now. So a house is really a liability, because a house, you're able to live in it, so on and so forth. But ultimately, if you're buying a single family home, it's a liability more than anything else, because most people do not stay in a house until it's paid off. So if you went out and bought a fourplex or a triplex or a duplex, it actually makes more sense, because you have someone paying you rent that's helping you pay the mortgage on a thing. But I don't want to get off on a tangent on that. But the deal is ultimately is the fact that someone lent you that money. You get it? And so let's say that if I were going to flip the script and say, well, I still want to borrow the $650,000, right? Which I know would probably take me 15 years to earn, to put together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow the $650,000, but I'm not going to borrow that $650,000 and put it on a house, right? I'm going to just borrow that $650,000 and put it in my account. Because now the asset, it's an appreciating asset, a house. But instead of having an asset that I have to come up with the money every month to make that mortgage payment, I would prefer personally to borrow that $650,000 and put it away, utilize it to make more money, and to prepare myself for the economic downturn. Because if I do that and stuff hits the floor, right, like it does periodically, every 15 years or so. We have a pretty big downturn. Every 30 plus years, we have major downturns, and every century, there's like, just horrible downturns. So it's just a cycle. And so let's say that very same $650,000 house, I borrow $650,000 because that way I have liquid capital that I can work with to make more money. Plus, I can take that very same money that I borrowed and use it to make payments on the money I borrowed. So it's a win-win, right? So for me, it's a win-win, right? And it should be for you as well if you think about it, because you can do something with that $650,000. So you take that $650,000, you take a year's worth of payments on that $650,000. This is just an example. Your numbers can be whatever. Your numbers can be $1 million. Your numbers can be $150,000. Your numbers can be $50,000. It doesn't matter. But when you borrow the liquid capital, then what it does is it opens your horizons. So you can take that money, $650,000, whatever the payments would be on it, you could literally put a year's worth of payments aside on that $650,000, making your payments in a timely fashion, building your credit file, and then ultimately what would end up happening is when you are making those kind of payments, month in, month out, people will rush to lend you more money. It's just a fact. Plus, you're going to show that you have stability because you're going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it could be $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, whatever the case may be, but you're going to have thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, or in what I'm trying to accomplish, hundreds of thousands of dollars, put away workable capital. And when you have, visible, workable capital, people want to give you money. I'm hoping this is making sense to you guys, right? Depreciating assets don't mean a damn thing. Okay, so a house is typically an appreciating asset. So it's not depreciating; it appreciates in value. But if you're going to buy a property, then you need to make sure that property is a appreciating asset. That, in my opinion, so if you're going to buy a property, a house is fantastic, but if you can get a duplex or a fourplex or a triplex, even better. Just my opinion. I'm hoping this is making sense to you guys. You want to make sure that you're moving in a direction where you are expanding your capital position. And so your capital position should be, how can I generate more money? And I'm telling you, earning more money in and of itself should not be your entire picture, because the average person has limitations. So some of us have certain skill sets in the marketplace that you're able to sell, or some of us have knowledge that we're able to sell and double, triple, quadruple ourselves, right? We're able to take our knowledge, distill it, or buy knowledge and distill it down into an ebook or into a video series or whatever, and then sell it. So you typically are going to make more money, or you know how to buy products and at deep discount and then subsequently sell those. Okay, so you're going to make more money. But as the average person that I speak with, they're doing single activity things. In other words, they are everything, right? So I buy and sell real estate. I'm, thinking about the guy that I was talking to. So that is a singular activity. He buys and sells real estate. So, he's going to do, probably good money, but it's still a singular activity. So there's more money in expanding yourself, where you're duplicating yourself, your knowledge in some fashion or form. But even going back to the guy that buys real estate, he's going to make decent money every time he buys, rehabs, flips a property. So he's going to make good money doing that. But the problem is ultimately he is still limited. If he's able to make $100,000 a year, and then he could probably borrow $300,000 a year. He could probably have lines of credit that are available to him at $300,000 a year. And then if he manipulates those lines of credit properly, then what he will be able to do is turn that into $500,000 or $1 million, right? Even though his personal income has not changed, the more money he has, the greater story he can tell, because you got to remember, as I've stated in Power Monday Mastermind call after call, it's about the story that you create, right? Because they don't know crap about you other than what you are telling them. And so you have to make it a point to tell your story the way you want them to understand it. So I just want to throw this in there. Even when I wasn't making $144,000 a year, I always said I was. Even when all my stuff went completely upside down and I was flat broke, like, damn it, things are bad, I was still putting $144,000 on my applications. Does that make sense? Because, they will base the story on what you tell them, or they're going to base the story on what they decide it is. And so it should always be what you're telling the world, right? Your story should be what you say. If you look around the world and everybody who's ever conquered any other people, the story always makes them out to be heroes, right? And the conquered people they'll have nothing to say because they're conquered. So it's the same thing when you're dealing with credit. Either you are going to be the conquered person or you're going to be the conqueror. And if you're the conqueror, you need to tell your story. You need to say, I make $150,000 a year. I make $146 a year. I make, whatever odd number you can think of. You need to start saying that, whether you make it right here, right now, or you don't. You need to start flipping the script. And even on my personal, on my experience, credit monitoring, if you were to look on there, it tells you, my income is 144. It says it on there. So anytime somebody runs my my credit file, that's what they're being told. They're being told the story that I choose. And that's the same thing with any type of credit, business, corporate, personal. You've got to tell your story. So getting back to this whole thing about the money thing is, I want you guys, I don't give a shit what it takes, start flipping the script on your personal credit file. Start changing your story, and then start going after as much monies as you can. Even if you don't have a use for that money, I don't give a shit. Even if you don't have a use for that money, get the money, be disciplined, be a good steward of your money, right? As I'm learning to do. Be a good steward of your money, hugely important. Hugely important. Be a good steward of your money and start taking your funds, putting it aside, and put other monies into another account so that you can make payments automatically, month in and month out. Put 6 months to a year, preferably a year. If somebody gives you a $10,000 credit card, especially business, strip that credit card down. Take the money off of it. Leave maybe 20% on there. Take the rest of that money, put it into a bank account. We've already talked about how the fact that banks rate your account on a 1 through 5 scale. When you start putting $10,000 or more in there, the bank looks at you differently. So think about it. If you borrow, $100,000 from various, credit grantors, and then you take that money and you just plop it into a bank account somewhere. And remember, you're disciplined, right? You plop that money into an account. Now it makes everybody want to do business with you because you're showing that you have liquid assets. And so it tells a certain picture. I'm sorry, it depicts a certain picture about you. It tells a story in and of itself. You know, the old adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, you know what? So is a bank account. If you have a bank account and you have a crap load of money sitting in there, people are going to start making you offers, right? And when you go out and you apply for something, and they, want to know what you have on an average in your bank account, they're going to look and they're going to say, well, you know what, you are a good risk, because for the last 6 months, we see that your business has $50,000 in its account. So even if they give you in the form of business credit, even if they were to give you let's call it, I don't know, an extra $25,000, isn't their $25,000 in your account better than being back in their account? I mean, it's just logical, y'all. We have to start thinking in terms of expansion and preparation, because if the economy does go down, we, right, the people on this call and myself, need to be prepared to buy up every damn thing we can. You see what I'm saying? Because that's when rich people get rich. Warren Buffett, third wealthiest person known, okay? Because there's a lot of very wealthy people that no one has a clue what they're worth. But, we all know. The Amazon guy, the Microsoft guy, Warren Buffett, third place, right? And, they're like Warren Buffett. He said over and over and over again, you buy when there's blood in the streets. You buy when everything else is falling apart. But how are you able to do that if you're not prepared, if you're not ready? You know what I'm saying? So I've seen people over and over and over again. I remember running my mouth, right, when the economy took a complete dump. I remember running my mouth like an idiot, talking all this talk. Oh man, yeah, oh yeah. AIG is down to 52 cents. Yeah, it was like 50 some odd dollars. It's down to 52 cents. Oh yeah, I think everybody should get some of that. My dumb ass didn't buy any. You see what I mean? And they were bailed out by our tax dollars. And so it's crazy that I didn't take advantage of that. Even if I had just bought $500 worth, $1,000 worth, it would have changed my existence in a big way. So this next come around, which in my opinion is coming, right? When things, I believe, are going to take a big dump, I'm telling you guys, get prepared right here, right now. Get your money right. Do whatever necessary to get your credit right. And in my opinion, one of the fastest ways to start getting your credit right is to start populating your credit with more positives. Even if you have some derogatories that you're working on, start populating your credit with more positives. The reason I like, the My Jewelers clubs of the world is because they're going to help you expand your credit and show it a different way. And there's plenty of places like My Jewelers Club and Ox Funding and all that crap, there's plenty of those. And the reason that they're so good is because they will give you for My Jewelers Club, and there's others like them, exactly like them. They'll give you a $5,000 credit line for a total of $200 invested and less than $30 a month. So let's just say if you had 3 of those, right? And you're paying each one of them $25 a month to report to all 3 bureaus. Dude, isn't that worth it? Because now you're showing, people trust you with $5,000 here, $1,500 there, another $5,000 over there. That expands your overall credit look. It tells a different story about who you are, because that's important. If you have a bunch of $300 Capital One cards, no one gives a shit. right? You a bunch of $300 Capital One cards, or some other stupid stuff. It's that is not the route. You need to have expansive credit, because the truth of the matter is, if you have a bunch of little bitty credit on your credit file, then that's all the credit you're going to get. Companies want to see that other people have entrusted you with their money, right? So that's why I explain to people is that, you can have literally nothing on your credit file, add an authorized user, just one authorized user account, and immediately have a 750 plus FICO score showing across all three bureaus, right? Just like that, nothing to it. It's not magic. It's just the way the algorithms work. But go out and try to get some money. They're gonna laugh at you, because you're having this authorized user account and having this high score, but you have no meat to your file means absolutely nothing. So you have to literally, let's think about this, right? Credit is height, right, which is the height of your credit, 700 FICO score, 800, 600, whatever. So it's height, depth, age of your FICO score, right? Height, depth, and width. How much credit do you have? Height, depth, and width. Does that make sense to you guys? Then you need to make sure that every single one of those dimensions is in place. You want to have your height, but height by itself means nothing, right? So you need to have depth. You need to show some age. And that is what your authorized user account should be for, to give you some age. Then you want that width. You want to have it so that you have, I was talking to my business partner, my dearest friend, Dee, yesterday, and she was like, oh, I have this, and this, and I was like, oh, dude, your score looks good because you have all these store cards, looks good. You have all these store cards, you have some credit cards, car payment, you have this, you have that. You want that good mix of credit, and any one of you can run your credit file, and you'll see at the very bottom of your credit file, I talk about this all the time, is that they tell you about your credit mix, and it'll tell you it's poor, fair, or good, and you want a good credit mix. You want a mix of various types of credit showing on your credit file, because they're telling you point blank that will help, and within their algorithms, that will help you get a higher score. And those are the things that we need to start looking at, and we need to do all those things that they're telling us, right? Literally, if you go to FICO.com, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, you go to any of them, they will tell you what they're looking for. They will tell you how to play their game, right? And so I'm giving you guys some tips and some tricks. If you want to expand your credit file in a good way, join Experian Credit Monitoring, sign up for their Boost program, and start listing. Connect to an account where you pay your bills out of it, because then they will start tracking that and subsequently giving you the credit you deserve. They will report it on Experian and subsequently give you the credit you deserve for paying out that money every month. Make your utility bills start to work for you. Okay? And for those of you who are renting, you need to go out and sign up with Rent Tracks, Rent Reporter, or Rental Karma. Sign up with those, because you're paying rent anyway. And if you're paying rent anyway, get that shit reported. Get it reported. Start utilizing. Look, for a lot of people, if you're paying out anywhere close to $1,000, in California it's a lot more than that, but if you're paying out anywhere close to $1,000 per month in rent, even $800, $500 a month in rent, you need to start getting that rent reported regularly, right? You need to go to one of these, Rental Karma, just the three I just mentioned, right? And you need to get that reported, man. You need to help. If you're going to pay out money, how can you make that money that you pay out work for you? I really hope, because we're coming at the end of this call and I've been just running my mouth, but I'm truly hoping that I'm giving you guys like golden nuggets, like real golden nuggets, because it's important. Expand your base of credit. If you only have a few things on your credit file, try to get 7 things across your credit file. If you have to utilize places like which are good to do, places like I just mentioned, Ox Funding and My Jewelers Club, you guys you need to do that, and then join this new program with Experian. If you're renting, you need to get credit on your credit. That's funny. You need to get credit, right, in both ways, for those monthly payments that you're making in rent. You need to, it needs to be showing. It needs to show up on your credit file. Utilize this stuff. Make it work for you, because you're paying it anyway. If once again on the Boost thing, it will literally report your $50 or $100 or whatever you're paying cell phone bill every month, right? And it's the bureaus saying it. So the bureaus have already figured it out in their algorithm how they're going to report it. And there's the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So there's certain laws that they have to follow. So can you imagine that on your rent every month, on your cell phone bill, on your gas bill, your light bill, your water bill that you're paying every month anyway, that you're going to get all this extra love, all this extra reporting on your credit file? It's ridiculous. It's just like the best thing that can happen. And then as your credit file builds, if those of you who are not incorporated, you need to incorporate. You need to incorporate like now, right? And once you get yourself incorporated, and as the opportunities arise, you need to start going after business lines of credit cards. And the reason I keep on saying business lines of credit cards as opposed to other forms is because with business lines of credit cards is basically stated income. So as you put down this new you, as you're creating this new appearance as far as your credit goes, that's going to be phenomenally good for you, right? So I don't care what you were putting on your applications before. You need to change it. You need to change it starting today. Don't get ridiculous though. I mean, I have people. I ask that question. Well, what are you putting down? And they just get stupid with it. Yeah, I put 248. I put all that ignorance. Keep your stuff sane, right? What would a good job in your area pay? So if you're in California, a good job would pay between $100,000 and $150,000, right? So make your numbers something like that. If you're in, Louisiana, a good job would pay maybe between $60,000 and $100,000, because it's just a different economic picture in different parts of the country. And so whatever you find that a good job would pay, something within reason, within your region, that's what you should say your personal income is. And then whatever you say your business is going to make, your business should typically be 2.5 times. So if you're saying that, oh yeah, I'm like I say regularly, $144,000. My business does. I think we reported 237 last year or something like that. So you get my point. So your business should be, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Double plus a half or something, that you're going to start reporting for your business. But keep it within reason, because when it's too high, then there's more questions that are going to be asked. So, and I want to make something clear also. I'm not opposed to people going out and getting loans, right? So if you were to go out and get a loan from like one of the places I mentioned earlier, it's not a bad look, because with that loan, let's say if you went to SoFi, or you went to Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I'm sorry about that. I was having brain fade. If you went to one of those and they gave you a $20,000 loan, okay, and on your personal, I mean, okay, not a big deal, right? Because what you can do with that money is you can take that money, even if you don't have anything to do with, any place to place it. You can take that money, put it aside, okay, in different accounts than they ship the money to. Very important. You never want to leave it in the same account that they deposit the money into. Put it in a different account. Let that money sit. Make payments from the account that they deposited the money into. Take a year's worth of payments. So if they gave you $20,000 and your payments are going to be, for them, they're high interest rate. So let's say that your payments are going to be $400 a month, right? And so for that $400 a month, that's $4,800 for the year. Take $4,800, plop it in there, let the payments be made for a year. Your credit's going to look stellar, right? Because for an entire year, month in, month out, your payments are being made, no questions asked. So that's what I would do. And then you take the rest of that money, hold it for something that's solid. Don't spend it on BS. Don't spend it on a car down payment or a car. Don't spend it on whatever stupid stuff we can think of as human beings. Take that money, utilize it for solid investment or to grow your business. The $16,000 that's left over. That's what I would do. That's what I would suggest you do. Or take that money, if you find a good deal on a trade line, or you find a good way to help improve your credit score overall, then I would take some of that money, $1,000 or $2,000, and invest it in getting your credit repaired if that's necessary, building on your credit, all that good stuff. Because as those payments are being made, does this make sense to you guys? As those payments are being made, what will end up happening is your credit file is going to increase immensely. And as you're building on your credit even more by adding other credit that you don't have to necessarily make big payments on, like the avenues I mentioned, Experience Boost program, because that's money that you're expending anyway every month, or doing things like the My Jewelers Club and all that stuff. Expanding your credit, and then doing whatever you can also to expand how your business looks. So I tell a lot of people they don't have any money. They come to me. I tell them, look, go to Fiverr. You set up your business. Go to Fiverr. Get your business address, your business phone number, and your business email address. Go to Fiverr. There are people on that for $50 will get you listed across all the different platforms, right? All the different places where if somebody were to search your business, you would come up, right? And that's important. You want to be listed everywhere. So this last, we're actually It's 10:02 right now, but I started 2 minutes late. So I'm just going to say, does anybody have any questions before I get off the phone? Hopefully you guys have gotten something out of this. Hopefully you guys are understanding. Start building capital reserves. Borrow as much money as you humanly can, because it's better to have as much of somebody else's money in your pocket, right? Than if things go bad, you don't have the money. I'm telling you, if you want to position yourself that if stuff hits the fan, right, whether it's your fault or the economy falls apart, whether it's your fault or the economy, you want to have as much liquid capital as humanly possible. And you want that to be other people's money. Because if you have to, let's say, you develop $1 million or 500,000 or $300,000 in liquid capital of OPM, and 6 months later you got a BK because things have just gone utterly bad. Wouldn't you rather BK with $300,000 of somebody else's money? Right? I mean, this is just business. It's not personal. You're not out here trying to screw anybody, I hope, but it's business. If things go bad, you want as much liquid capital, far more than you'd be able to earn in a year and save in a year, sitting to the sidelines, waiting on you, as opposed to you finding yourself into a screwed position and then saying, oh my God, what can I do to get money? Oh, it's just, things are so bad. What can I do? No, you want to be in front of that situation. And the only way I know to do that is by creating, winning, somehow or another, getting as much capital as you can. That's the only way that you can prepare yourself for anything negative, and it's the only way that you can be prepared to take advantage of any good, great, positive situations that occur. Right? So many of us find ourselves like this guy that I was talking to a week or two ago, and where he was telling me about, his position where their business is growing, but they just don't have the capital to grow and to do. Right? So that's why they were calling. How can we get more money in? How can we get more money in? And so, if they already knew what I'm able to help them with, they could have taken, like the guy was saying, his partner's wife has like almost an 800 FICO score. They could have taken her FICO score and easily raised, several $100,000. And could you imagine, property in Texas is not that much. And so having $300,000 liquid or accessible to them, they would be able to grow their business, but more importantly, they would be capital rich so that they would be able to buy the property, clean the property up, and flip it without having to stress or worry about, oh man, how are we going to get these next supplies? Or how are we going to be able to, close on this deal, right? So let's just move forward, y'all. I don't know what else to say, but I'm going to ask one time if anybody has any questions.
Hey, Pascal, this is Rick. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you know what, too? Appreciate all the information, too, because I'm sorry about that. I'm in Costco, too. But appreciate the information and kind of enlighten me on some things that I need to take care of. My question to you, what do you think about those for business credit when they have corporations, when they have those trade lines for business credit? What's your opinion on those? Because you have some companies that sell you trade lines for business credit.
Right. I think they're good. But they're good as part of your overall picture. Right? Okay. So just if you were to say,
I'm going to mute the phone for a minute. I'm in Costco. Sorry about that. I'm going to mute the phone for a minute.
No problem. And I'll answer your question. So for like we offer business credit that will populate on your personal credit file, right? So what I'm sorry, that will populate on your corporate credit file. We sell those packages, but even though we sell those packages, I will tell you that buying those in and of themselves is not going to do you any good, right? So you need to have your entire picture lined up. Because if you buy our $5,000 package, our $5,000 program, what that's going to do is that's going to, enhance your payday. Oh my God, you're going to have like an 85 paydex score. You're going to have all these great things that are going to show up on your Dun and Bradstreet. Eventually you're going to show up in your Experian business, your Equifax business. It's just going to be a good look all the way around. It's just awesome look, quite frankly. And that is great. But the deal is that in the beginning, even though you're going to have this really awesome Experian business file, Equifax business file, and ultimately Dun and Bradstreet file, even though you're going to have those, in my opinion, that's going to position you, because it's just a handful of credit, right? So it's good, but it's not as good as you having that and your personal credit looking right. That's when you're going to go after the major money. That's when you're going to get all your stuff is in check. You get it? That's, so like if I were just to say, oh my God, I have a great Experian file, I have a great Experian business, I should say, and a great Equifax business and a great Dun and Bradstreet file. Okay, well, I'm going to be able to go out and raise $1 million in trade credit, right? Which is trade credit is simply credit that is granted to your corporation, right, without you having to be a guarantor usually, and it is from other businesses. But it doesn't have that as a rule, Visa, MasterCard, Discover type of logos on it, meaning that you can only use that credit with them. Now, once your Experian business file gets built up, then yes, there will come a time when you can, you no longer have to be the guarantor. But just those 3 very large, very nice files may or may not get you that. So that's why it's going to be imperative, in my opinion, to have your stuff looking right across the board. And then, so let's say that I have a 750 FICO score, just for, and I'm able to utilize that 750 FICO score, and I have a corporation that has nothing on it. And I'm able to take that 750 FICO score and go out and, let's say I go to someplace we've gotten really good results from, which is Chase Inc., right, for business. And Chase says, wow, you know what? You have a 750 FICO score. You have a business with really nothing going on. We're going to give you $30,000, Pascal. And I'd be like, awesome. Okay. Now, let's add in the fact that I have those business trade lines added in. Well, with those business trade lines added in, they would look at my thing and say, his business, everything looks like it's supposed to across the board. So instead of getting that $30,000, they might give me $40,000 or $50,000. You see the difference? Because now everything is lining up. I look like I'm supposed to. My business looks like it's supposed to. Everything is lining up. So now I'm positioned to get more money like I'm supposed to be doing. Right? So this is all a game, folks. And it's how you play the game. Positioning. So I hope that answered the question properly. So, if it didn't pop back on and tell me I didn't answer your question, and, I'll try to do my best to rephrase it. Does anybody else have any questions before we jump off this call?
It's me, Rick, again.
Okay.
I don't mean to bug you a bunch of questions.
No, you're not bugging at all. That's what this call is about.
Yeah, so I understand what you're talking about business-wise. That goes into what you were speaking earlier with the going height and depth that you explained about. So it's the same concept as personal and business. So,
yeah,
right? Am I correct? Yes. So I understand that part. Now, there have been like people ask me like, you know, when they when they're trying to do business, they ask me like, can you use CPN to use that for business, that as part of your personal, and to build a business credit with that? Some people say no, some people say yes.
Okay, here's the answer. The answer unequivocally is absolutely people do it, and I've seen it done. And you know, there's this guy out in LA, total piece of crap person, but you know, he was able to raise like $250,000 and then ran off with the money. But the point is, can it be done? Absolutely. People do it. Would I do it? Absolutely not. Because if you are serious about your business, then you want everything to be right from the gate. If you're serious about your business, you don't want to use a CPN, because the problem with the CPN, and as you all know, I sell programs that offer CPNs every single day of the week. The problem with the CPN is a CPN can be collapsed very easily. And if you build some personal stuff off of it, who cares? But I always think of businesses in terms of long-term growth, you know, getting real money kind of thing. You know what I mean? Really getting it in. So can you do it? Absolutely. Would I do it? No. Because if your CPN collapses, you've ruined your business, and you ruin potentially yourself in some respects, right? Because when you're trying to do bigger things, you start going after bigger money, there's more eyeballs that will be on you when things collapse. So if you were just going after basic consumer stuff and it went awry, no big deal, because if you look at what the FBI says on their website, you know, as long as you don't have the intent of fraud, you know, on the FBI website, it indicates that CPNs are perfectly legal. So you want to consider all of that. But when you start doing business stuff, it kind of takes it out of the parameters of what they say a CPN should be used for. Hopefully that answers your question. But people do it though. I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, I understand. I had the same thoughts too, because like I said, if you are serious about your business, you want it all to be legit, because you never know that CPN can, like I say, it can fall on you, and then that's your whole business. And I mean, I have the same opinion too. Same thought you have, same opinion.
Yeah, but people do it though.
Together. Okay.
Yeah, people do it though. I don't want to sit here and lie and say people don't do it, because I've had plenty of clients do that. You know what I mean? But if you're asking my opinion, I just say, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, they're not that serious if they do if they do CPN for business.
They're more on the hustle. You know what I mean? It's just a hustle for them. It's just, you know, and honestly, you know, I'm not with the hustle. I mean, no, that's a lie. I am with the hustle in a big way. But in a different type of hustle.
Different way, yeah. I got you.
Different hustle, yeah. So, did you have any other questions for me?
Nah. I mean, I do, but nah, I don't. I wait till next month. Yeah. I have some more questions. All right. I'm sure.
Well, I'm hoping you're getting stuff out of this. I hope at least you got a couple of nuggets of something positive out of the call.
Oh no, I get a lot of nuggets out of each call. I mean, even though I missed the other one, but I heard them on I had to hear the replay. But trust me, I get something out of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even waste my time to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So I am getting nuggets. Yeah, I'm straight up. I wouldn't even waste my time. I'd be like, this is another guy with another story, another bull crap. It's a waste of time. But I've been getting nuggets out of it, and it's pretty cool. That's why I'm like making sure I caught this Monday this time just to talk to you that question. But I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So does anybody else have anything that they want answered before we get off the phone? I'd be more than happy to do so. Going once, going twice. 3 times. We're done, son.
But okay.
Huh?
No, I noticed that you don't really get too many people asking questions on here. Which
No, you know what? It's funny, man. A few people will pop in the chat with a little quick one-liner. But yeah, it's we have 20 some odd people on the call, and maybe one person will pipe up and say something. And I think it's kind of a shame because, you know, they got to have questions, right? Because the responses I get in like emails or something of that nature, people are getting something out of it. But people are very shy, I guess. I don't know. I really.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I kind of, it's going to sound kind of foul, but I kind of don't give a shit, you know.
Wow,
as long
I
as
already know your attitude.
I'm sorry?
I said, I already know how your attitude is.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Because I'm just, you know, it's just true. You know, if you want to sit there and not say anything, then and you don't get everything that you can possibly get out of it, that's on you, not me. You know, because I'm literally giving people, you know, what people pay me for, not just some BS. I'm trying to give people the best of what I know to be true. So,
well, me personally, I love. I have a question. I love picking people's brains. If they willing to talk to you, then like pick their brains. Like ask them whatever kind of question you have. Just pick it.
Absolutely, it's a good look.
Yeah.
So, but we are at almost 20 after. So I thank you so much. Thank you very much for A, coming on the call, and for B, participating in the call. I greatly appreciate it. All right, and to everyone else, thank you all for coming on the call. And this is the end of this Power Monday Mastermind. Take care, y'all.
All right, and I'm gonna email you because I never do get those ebooks that you say you sent out. Like I've been getting your emails from, I don't know, I always got your emails for a long time, but yeah, I never get none of them ebooks that you keep saying on these calls. So I'm gonna email you and so you can email me the ebooks that you have.
Sounds like a plan, man.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot. You have a good day, man.
You're welcome. You too.
Okay.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.